All right, welcome back, everyone. Let's turn to our second discussion this morning, one that has to do with the announcement of resignation by the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, on account of the several political issues that have come up in that country, particularly in his government's recent weeks. They've created a bit of upheaval. And as such, he says that the honorable thing to do at this point is to step aside, as they say. But again, what happens beyond all of that, and what lessons can we draw from this as a continent and indeed as a nation? I'm joined live via Zoom from South Africa by Dr. Babayo Sule. I just, for the records, Dr. Babayo Sule is a lecturer in Lesotho. Dr. Babayo Sule, I'd like to say, first of all, a big thank you to you for jumping on this conversation. I mean, distance notwithstanding, and it's been a while we had you here. But let's just establish that Dr. Babayo Sule is of the Department of Political Science and Administrative Studies at the National University of Lesotho in South Africa. So I'm going to say, first off, Happy New Year to you, and thank you for joining Global Morning today.
Yeah, thank you very much. I also wish to say a happy new year in arrears and happy to meet you. Good morning.
Great. So let's begin with this announcement by the Prime Minister of Canada. Did you see this coming? Even though I know you are very, very much abreast of the situation politically in that country.
Yes, well, thank you very much. For those who are closely following politics in internationally and particularly the Canadian politics of recent days, it's not a shocking or a surprising decision taken by the Prime Minister, as it is a popular decision in advanced democracies for leaders to step aside, particularly if there is a crisis or a challenge that they feel will affect their chances of winning polls, or it will affect the chances of their parties or their personality or integrity and other factors associated with that, which is usually an unpopular and seemingly impossible decision in emerging democracies. The reason why I say that it is a popular decision is that this is not the first time. We could all recall how many prime ministers in the UK and Britain have been resigning one before the other because of the controversies surrounding the famous British exit. We could also recall how the US President Joe Biden decided to step down and allow his deputy, that is Kamala Harris, to contest in his place because of some perceived factors, in which one of them is how the chance of the party is being affected by his candidature. So he was able to convince himself, and also the party was able to prevail upon him to give a chance to a better candidate that will match Trump's mightiness. Even though still the party was defeated and Harris, many believe that it was a damage control, because if it was Joe Biden that contested, the magnitude of defeat will be more than that. If you look at the issue of the Canada's resignation of the Prime Minister, it is not unexpected, particularly if you are following the development some days back, because one, Canada is also facing an economic turmoil in terms of inflation, in terms of increasing standard of living, in terms of so many other socio-economic factors, in which we all know that in advanced democracies, they go into polls putting at the back of their minds some of these policies and issues as the major determinant factors for their vote. So it seems that many Canadians are feeling that they are not in any way better under the Liberal Party that is being led by Justin Trudeau for the last 9 years. Specifically, it was under his watch that the world experienced COVID-19, economic meltdown, and so many other economic challenges that the Canadians are feeling. The government is not making sound policy, even though he is credited with introducing some social security policies like the health for the unprivileged, health care provision for the unprivileged, child care, and so many other social security programs. But still, some are feeling that it is not enough and inadequate. And secondly, if you look at it, you will see that in the last two polls, his party was, in fact, it is said that he was always leading as a minority. His party was leading the country as a minority party because it was defeated twice. It is only because he has a tenure as a prime minister to complete. That is why he is almost staying in office. Otherwise, he should have left since because of all the polls indicate that if he continues as the prime minister and in the same liberal party, there is every possibility that the party is going to be defeated in the October elections that is coming. Then another factor also is the internal pressure from the party members who believe that Justin Trudeau has given enough and he has done his best, and the party is witnessing a decline under his watch. So therefore, it is better for him to step down and step aside so that the party will prepare, reshape itself, and then prepare to face the election. But there are some analysts who are closely following Canada's politics, particularly the opposition parties like the Conservative and others, who feels that the resignation of the Prime Minister is just a scintillating movement by the Liberal ruling party in order to continue to rule. There is just a replacement of one liberal leader by another liberal leader, but the same policies and the same pattern of ruling would continue because it is the same party. We should not forget that their parties have ideology unlike ours. So therefore, any leader that is to lead under the platform or umbrella of a given political party, first of all, party first and party's manifesto and ideology second, before his personal ambition or personal policies to become third. So therefore, they are feeling that it is not going to change anything. Whoever is going to succeed him will build from where he stops because it is the same party, it is the same ideology. So therefore, the party is just trying to separate its neck and face by just changing the one at the helms of affairs with another so that it will not lose the October election in order to continue as the ruling party in power, but the policies and programs would continue. But irrespective of what the analysts or whatever the critics may feel, the prime minister many believe that did what is best for him, for the party, and for the country. Because when you feel that you have given enough and that you may lead to the downfall of your party, the best thing to do is to step aside so that the party will prepare itself, reshape its policies, look inward, prepare to attack outward so that they will face what is coming. Maybe they will have a chance or an opportunity to face what will come in future. So these are some of the take from the resignation, the aftermath.
As it stands right now, Dr. Sule, there's the Trump element in all of this. As a matter of fact, there are Canadians, including some of them in government, who say that, look, Justin Trudeau does not have what it takes to address some of the problems that will come with a Trump White House, including, of course, as we know, the issues around tariff and what have you. Add to that, the president-elect, who, by the way, will be sworn in 13 days, is now saying that he's proposing a merger of Canada and the United States. Help us to find sense in all of this.
Well, thank you very much. God bless you for awakening me from a very critical point that I forget to dwell on to. Well, the issue of Trump factor also is a very important factor that is believed to have caused the resignation of the prime minister and also the economic performance of Canada. Because there is what you call NAFTA, Northern American Free Trade Association, which comprises of the United States itself, Canada, Mexico, and Cuba. These four are North American states. Have an agreement of a free movement, free tariff of goods and services among themselves. But it is observed that with the emergence of President Donald Trump in 2016, he somehow introduced some policies against this regional cooperation, regional economic unification, and introduced some measures that cut the movement of Canadian goods and even other North American goods into US by imposing higher tariff, so that the American good will now have more advantages and opportunities. So this time around, Donald Trump is vocal and is unequivocal that he's going to slam a 25% tariff on every Canadian good that is coming into the United States of America, which is believed if he does that, it is sharply going to affect the Canada's economy to the extent that some opposition politicians are making a sarcasm out of it by saying that Canada should just join as the number 51 state in the United States of America. Otherwise, they will have no business doing in the NAFTA, or they will have no opportunity of surviving economically with this kind of tariff that Donald Trump is going to slam. Based on that, there are some that are believing that there is a retaliation because there is a standing agreement between US and Canada that are the migrants that are trooping. I don't want to use the word illegal migrant because it is derogatory to me. Rather, I will say irregular and forceful migrant that are being forced out of Africa, Asia, South America, and particularly Mexico, that are trooping into the United States through Canada. And this migrant, there is a standing agreement between the United States of America and Canada that Canada is either going to block their passage into the US or is going to absorb them so that they will not float into the US. And then there is an agreement to slash tariff and allow some free movement of goods from Canada to the United States of America. Now, Justin Trudeau's government is contemplating, or the ruling party, even the one that succeeds him, is now contemplating that they are going to tighten security, so that if they tighten security, this irregular or possible migrant will not have an opportunity to enter Canada, or they will not be blocked by Canada, so they will troop into the United States of America, which is going to cause a social security problem for the United States as a means or as a form of retaliation. So therefore, it is just like a case of an economic battle. And Donald Trump is the kind of a president, based on what we saw from his first tenure, that once he is determined to pursue a policy, no amount of internal and external pressure and criticism will force him to back down. And is also the type of a leader who believe in United States of America for America. They only have three types of this president: from George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and then Frank F. Kennedy, and then now the fourth one, who is Donald Trump. Donald Trump doesn't believe in excessive intrusion into the foreign affairs. He doesn't believe in over concentration of the United States of America in interfering in global affairs. He believed that US is for US, America for America. So therefore, whatever it takes and whatever he can do in order to safeguard the chastity and sanctity of the United States of America, to restore its integrity and dignity before the global eyes, is what he is after. It's not only Canada, he is now also threatening Chinese goods, in which China is now saying that it is going to retaliate if Donald Trump slams a higher tariff percentage for Chinese goods that are coming to the United States of America. China will also retaliate for the same thing. And also Donald Trump is now saying that he's going to do the same thing for many other. In fact, he is now even threatening the BRICS members, including the South Africa where I am here, that if they insist on jettisoning the US dollar in order to trade with another currency or to trade goods for good. He also insists that he is going to slam sanctions on them and all the goods that are coming from their countries into the US. So Donald Trump is an expert in economic warfare instead of the usual aggressive conventional warfare that the US president are known for. So therefore, I don't think even the one that succeeding or even the conservative party that is warming up to use the opportunity to capture power from the liberal party will be able to fight back what Donald Trump will do in terms of a slamming tariff on Canada. The only way is the alternative of the intensified security around the Canada's border, which will harm the US internal social security in terms of the movement of irregular and forceful migrants. Maybe that is only what will force President Donald Trump to make some concession toward the Canadian goods that are coming. Otherwise, I don't think whether it's Trudeau or anyone that succeeds him will be able to handle the matter as it should be.
Okay, in all of this, it is important we also draw a lesson for our dear continent, Africa, and indeed our country, Nigeria. What are some lessons we should be learning from all of this from two angles, Prof? The first is this resignation announcement that we saw come through yesterday from Justin Trudeau, on the one hand, in terms of whether it's in internal democracy in Nigeria or the way political leaders carry themselves. That's number one. Number two is Nigeria prepared for a Trump government? Because everybody, it's almost as if the anticipation of Trump's inauguration in barely 2 weeks' time is sneezing already, and the entire world is catching cold, for example. How prepared or otherwise, I mean, from your standpoint, you think Nigeria is for another 4 years of a Trump White House?
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think Trump is a kind of a president that is a paradoxical point of what the world was expecting during his first tenure. Almost everyone thought that Trump is going to lead a third world war because of his unguarded utterances, because of his insultive comment, because of his aggressive approach toward both domestic and foreign policy. But it turns out that Trump is a true American nationalist who is after America's interests only. Well, Nigeria will stand to benefit a lot from such approach. It will benefit in the sense that anytime we have a president from a powerful country like the US or Britain or France or Germany that is pursuing a foreign policy and economic programs that are internal and that are less interfering in external arena, I think it's good for a country like Nigeria to utilize and exploit the opportunity now that there is less interference in order to beef up and to build up the economy. Because majorly there are two major obstacles to Nigeria's economic development, internal and external. The internal colonization by the national rulers is a big challenge in terms of corruption, in terms of chasing wild goose policies that are not incongruent with the popular demands of the public, and misplacement of priorities, a lack of paying listening ears to the major demands and outcries of the public. This is one major problem of the Nigeria's economy at home, and then abroad is the excessive external interference in terms of prescribing some economic models and policies, either by powerful states like US, UK, France, Germany, and others, or independent international agencies and organizations like IMF and World Bank, devalue naira, withdraw subsidy, do this, don't do that. So now, if a powerful state like the US will not interfere, I think it's as good as we are now giving a free hand to just determine the direction and flow of our economy. It means to each according to his ability and to each according to his need, which means it now depends on the ability and the foresight and the wisdom of our leaders to initiate programs and policies that will push for us to exploit the opportunities provided by globalization on the global scale to advance our economic interests, which is an advantage to me. Now the disadvantage is the Nigeria's good that may be going to the US, particularly some of the bilateral agreement that were signed with the previous government in terms of allowing some Nigerians good like especially agricultural produce to go to the US, and also in terms of migrant, because don't forget that the remittances from Africans in diaspora has hit about 20% of the total GDP of Africa. And Nigeria, Egypt, and I think which other country, Nigeria, Egypt, and I think is it Cameroon or Ghana, I forget. Just three of these countries account for about 60% of the total remittances that are coming from the Africans in diaspora. And Nigeria could account for about 40% of the total remittances from the diaspora. And United States of America is one of the destinations of the Nigerians where they easily get an opportunity to go there, and then they will be sending home remittances which are boosting the Nigerian economy, generating revenue for the government, for the banks, sustenance for the family. Now, Donald Trump is quite clear about his position that all irregular and forceful migrants will no longer have an opportunity to stay in the US, which means many Nigerians will be affected. And then in terms of Nigerians' export will also be affected. But then to me, it's also not a serious trouble, because in this world of globalization, you always look for an alternative plan B. If the goods that are targeted for exportation to the US by Nigeria is now blocked by President Donald Trump, Nigeria should just start thinking of retaliatory measures by looking for an alternative opportunity in China, in Russia, in India, in South Africa, in Brazil, in Asian economies, and then should also start looking for an opportunity or substitute goods that the US used to export to Nigeria from these countries, and then just start contemplating what Canada is now thinking of doing in terms of beefing up security measures. So there is an opportunity, there is a trade. Then maybe another lesson that we need to take from this time around, not the US or Donald Trump's swearing in that is impending some few days coming, but rather from Justin Trudeau's resignation, is for African leaders to take a cue, a lesson from the advanced democracies, where they feel that the party and the country's interests above their interests. If it is in Africa, no leader will sacrifice, or rather I will say very few, because we have some like Nelson Mandela, like Julius Nyerere doing that, but not all can do that. Many would rather prepare to just rock the boat, or rather to crash the party, to lose the election, than just to give up or to resign because of the interest of the party or the interest of the country.
I think that's the much time allows us to take on this discussion. But it's been very incisive and at the same time riveting. Thank you so much, Dr. Babayo Sule, Department of Political Science and Administrative Studies at the National University of Lesotho in South Africa. Again, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. Thank you very much, and good morning out there.
All right, that's a wrap on today's episode of Global Morning. Thank you everyone for watching. Just a quick reminder that all the views of our guests on our programs, including Global Morning, are their opinions. Again, we appreciate you on behalf of the entire production team here at Global Television World Headquarters in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I'm Muyi Agmofwebe. We will see you again.
From flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
If you don't say we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rate as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASU strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a life. The president never gave me any deadline.